In the heart of the vast plains of the American West, where the horizon stretched endlessly and the wind carried whispers of ancient spirits, a warrior emerged who would forever etch his name into the annals of history. Red Cloud, Makpialuda, 1822 to 1909, an Oglala Lakota Sioux chief, led his people against one of the most formidable forces of the time, the U.S. Army. His victory was not just a military achievement, it was a statement of resilience, defiance, and an unyielding commitment to preserve his people's way of life. This is the story of Red Cloud's War, the only major conflict where Native Americans forced the U.S. to negotiate peace on their terms, a testament to the strength and spirit of the Plains tribes. The mid-19th century was a time of broken promises and betrayal for the Native American tribes of the Great Plains. The Treaty of Fort Laramie, 1851, had promised the Sioux, Cheyenne, and Arapaho that their territories would remain theirs, untouchable by settlers' boots or soldiers' guns. However, this agreement was upended after the 1858 discovery of gold in the Rocky Mountains, which triggered the Pikes Peak Gold Rush. The U.S. government, eager to facilitate further expansion, reneged on the treaty's terms. The tribes watched as waves of prospectors flooded their lands, driven by greed. The U.S. government, eager to carve a path westward, pushed for the Treaty of Fort Wise, 1861, stripping the tribes of much of their land. This cession, signed under duress by only a few leaders, sowed seeds of discord. And then, on a cold November morning in 1864, came the Sand Creek Massacre. Colonel John Chivington's men descended upon a peaceful Cheyenne and Arapaho village, killing hundreds. The blood of innocents darkened the snow, and the survivors' cries echoed across the plains. The massacre became a rallying cry. It was in this crucible of betrayal and bloodshed that Red Cloud rose, not just as a leader, but as a symbol of defiance. In 1863, gold was discovered in Montana, and with it came the Bozeman Trail, a direct route cutting through the Powder River Basin, sacred ground to the Sioux. The U.S. Army, tasked with protecting the settlers, built forts along this trail, including Fort Phil Kearny. Red Cloud, who had initially allowed settlers to pass with caution, realized the true intention of the government when they began constructing permanent outposts. In the summer of 1866, under the shadow of Fort Laramie, Red Cloud and other Sioux leaders met with U.S. officials to discuss peace. But when Colonel Henry B. Carrington arrived with orders to build more forts, Red Cloud stood, his eyes cold and unyielding, and declared war. This was no longer a negotiation. It was a declaration of resistance. Red Cloud's war was characterized by a series of strategic guerrilla campaigns that showcased the Native American mastery of their land and unconventional warfare. The soldiers within the timber walls of Fort Phil Kearny felt the presence of Red Cloud's warriors like a storm waiting to break. Day after day, small raiding parties appeared, their war cries slicing through the cold air. Colonel Carrington, cautious and inexperienced in combat, kept his men on the defensive, but frustration simmered among his officers, especially Captain William J. Fetterman, whose prideful boast that he could ride through the entire Sioux nation with 80 men would soon echo hollowly in history. On that fateful December day, the morning sun cast long, pale shadows across the snow-laden plains. Red Cloud's strategy unfolded with calculated precision. Crazy Horse, a warrior of fierce reputation, led a decoy party to lure Fetterman and his detachment over Lodge Trail Ridge. With their vision obscured by the rolling hills, Fetterman's men charged, unaware they were stepping into a death trap. Suddenly, the ground seemed to come alive as nearly 2,000 warriors emerged from the hidden ravines and snow-capped thickets. War cries erupted, arrows whistled through the air, and spears gleamed in the cold sunlight. The battle was swift, brutal, and merciless. Men fought desperately, their shouts drowned by the clash of iron and the roar of charging warriors. In less than an hour, the snow was crimson with blood, and Fetterman's force lay lifeless. The Fetterman Massacre, or Battle of the Hundred in the Hand, was a catastrophic defeat for the U.S. Army and a resounding victory for Red Cloud. Among the fallen was Adolph Metzger, the bugler who fought with nothing but his brass instrument. When his body was found, Stripped and bloodied, it was draped with a buffalo hide, a sign of respect for his bravery. Red Cloud's campaign did not relent. The Hayfield Fight and Wagon Box Fight of 1867 demonstrated his ability to adapt to changing circumstances, even as the U.S. Army improved its weaponry. The breech-loading rifles that once gave soldiers a sense of security were matched by Red Cloud's determination and the relentless pressure he applied on every front. By 1868, the U.S. government, weary of the endless conflict and recognizing that victory was out of reach, sought peace. The Treaty of Fort Laramie, 1868, was signed, guaranteeing the Powder River region, including the Black Hills, to the Sioux. The Bozeman Trail was closed and the forts were abandoned, set aflame by Red Cloud's triumphant warriors. It was a historic victory, the only time the U.S. South conceded defeat and agreed to the terms of a Native American leader. Red Cloud's genius lay in his ability to unify disparate tribes and wield them as a singular force. His tactical approach combined swift, unexpected strikes with psychological warfare, keeping the enemy on constant alert. But beyond his prowess on the battlefield, Red Cloud was a skilled diplomat. He recognized that war alone could not ensure his people's future and transitioned to advocating for their rights through negotiations and diplomacy when the time called for it. The 1868 treaty marked the height of Red Cloud's success, but peace was fleeting. In 1874, George Armstrong Custer discovered gold in the Black Hills, reigniting U.S. interest and leading to the Great Sioux War, 1876 to 1877. Red Cloud chose not to take part in this war, opting instead for legal battles, speaking passionately for his people's rights in Washington, D.C. Despite his efforts, betrayal by the U.S. government was relentless, and the sacred Black Hills were taken. Red Cloud's later years were marked by frustration as he witnessed the erosion of the very promises he had fought to secure. Still, he continued to advocate for his people, speaking out against injustice until his death in 1909. His legacy is that of a warrior who won against insurmountable odds and a leader who knew that true power lay not just in fighting, but in enduring. Red Cloud's War was more than a military campaign. It was a declaration of indigenous sovereignty and resilience. The warriors who fought under Red Cloud's banner proved that the spirit of the Plains tribes could not be easily extinguished. This conflict laid the groundwork for later acts of resistance and remains a powerful testament to the determination of Native Americans to protect their way of life. The war's legacy influenced future generations and leaders like Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse, who continued the fight for their people's rights. Historians remember Red Cloud not only as a fierce warrior, but as a shrewd leader whose diplomatic and military achievements underscored the complexities of Native American resistance. Red Cloud's story is one of defiance, strategy, and enduring spirit. His leadership during Red Cloud's War demonstrated that even in the face of overwhelming power, unity and determination could force an empire to its knees. His tale serves as a poignant reminder of the cost of war, the strength of leadership, and the enduring fight for justice and sovereignty that echoes through history.